I got reminded today why I am 330 pounds at 27. I'm a 27F at 330 pounds from Texas. I've always been fat, and today was one of those days where I was remembered why I am this heavy. Throughout my life I've always helped around on the farm when I could. Being the daughter of a farmer meant being a farmhand, and despite being obese I built up a decent bit of stamina just working. These last few years I've worked by a local bank however, so I've mostly been sitting around. Perchance my dad needed a hand on a day I had off work and soon enough I was helping him shovel the barn clean. After about 5 minutes of work, I was out of breath. I was sweating a lot, breathing heavily, and 10 minutes later my knees were starting to ache. When my dad noticed this, he came up to me and smiled. "Why don't you take it easy, princess? Just go back inside and enjoy your day off." I wanted to refuse but he insisted, and honestly, I was pretty sick of it all. When I got back inside and lounged back on the couch, still catching my breath, my mother walked in and saw me panting. She went on a rant about how dad asked far too much of me, and not much later she came back with some food. As I was eating and my mother continued to rant a bit on my father, it was then I realized just how odd the scenario was. Here I was too out of shape to work, being excused from work and rewarded with food. Sometimes I really feel like I was set up to be this fat.
AITA for leaving my family's Thanksgiving gathering through the side gate without saying goodbye. Everyone there except my aunt was drinking and smoking weed. I personally do not drink nor smoke weed and have been abstinent for nearly a year. They were all being obnoxious. Those who weren't being obnoxious were being judgy and self-righteous. My family is mostly young women and all they were doing was gossiping. I am an older man. My brother was so out of it that trying to talk to him was no different than trying to hold a conversation with a tree in the front yard. The only other men there were the young boyfriends of my nieces and younger cousins. Talking to them was vapid and pointless. For the first time in almost a year, I felt compelled to drink. So instead of drinking or drawing any unnecessary or unwanted attention to myself, I just left. No one even noticed. Am I the asshole for not saying goodbye to anyone?
AITA for not giving complimentary extras to guests who have low ratings from other hosts on Airbnb. I host on Airbnb, and I usually like to add small complimentary touches for my guests, things like tea, coffee capsules, even snacks, drinks, small toiletries, early check-ins if I can, etc. None of this is required, but I enjoy offering it when guests seem respectful and easy to work with. Recently, I started noticing that guests with low ratings from previous hosts often end up being the ones who cause the most problems: excessive demands, poor communication, complaints about things that aren't issues, etc. And most importantly, stuff their bags with all the complimentary stuff I gave them as they leave the room. They haven't used it in the room, which makes me feel taken advantage of. So I decided to adjust how I handle things. Everyone gets exactly what they paid for. But I no longer offer complimentary perks to guests who show up with a history of low reviews or multiple hosts complaining about them. I'm not rude, I'm not withholding anything they booked. I just don't go the extra mile for guests who have a track record of being difficult. Some guests with low ratings have noticed they didn't get the extras that other guests mentioned in reviews, and a couple have accused me of being unfair or judgmental or even racist as they can't see their rating. So, AITA for not giving complimentary extras to guests who already have low reviews from other Airbnb hosts.
AITA for saying that my friend looked horrible. I live with this guy as dorm mates, and we're pretty chill. I mean, he's my roommate, so we're bound to be friends, but other than that, today I was just relaxing on the couch and doom scrolling. Then he comes out of his room, jolly as hell. Then I look at him and he's all dressed. He told me earlier that week that he asked this girl out on a date on the weekend, and that day was today, and he looked horrible in my opinion. Crying face emoji, crying face emoji, crying face emoji. He had purple pants on thin and wore a plain white t-shirt as his top. Now here's the kicker. He had sandals on, for the first date. Now here's what I think I did wrong. He didn't even ask me for an opinion, but I just straight up said he looked horrible and he needed to change before his date leaves him. After that he got defensive, and yeah, small little fight. That was bound to happen. But at the end of the day he went out with the same outfit that I told him to change. So AITA?
AITA for saying I don't think the gift exchange is fair. Myself, hubby, no. Still, her boyfriend all agreed last year we would draw names and donate to a charity important to the person whose name we drew instead of exchanging gifts. We made sure significant others didn't draw each other because they would still exchange with each other. Hubby and I spent Christmas Day together. And her boyfriend spent day together. We did our Christmas with all of us after the actual day. Then hubby and I found out that Milsil still exchanged gifts with each other. So his mom bought for her daughter but not her son, his sister bought for their mom but not her brother. Basically, AITA for saying to them, I don't think that's fair to do that way again this year. I did make it clear, and this is completely honest, I could care less if I'm involved in a gift exchange. That's not my point. The three of them could exchange with each other and leave me out. I just don't feel it's right for a parent to buy for one child and not the other, especially if we agreed we weren't exchanging gifts. So I added to add because several have asked. It was their idea to donate instead of exchanging.
AITA family's upset that we aren't picking a middle name for our firstborn. My husband and I are expecting our firstborn son, a baby who is a miracle to us because I have PCOS, and I'm also high risk due to my short cervix. We finally told everyone the name of what our son will be, after everyone wouldn't stop asking. In return, all we get is negative feedback from family members about not having a middle name. The person who gave us the most disrespect was my father, who went on a rant in the family group chat, be creative with it, don't be lazy and say no middle names just cuz, and to stop being anti-cultural, it's allowed and surnames or middle names have been used for ages. He just kept going on and on. I stopped reading the messages. My husband and I just don't want a middle name because of our own opinions on it, and don't think it's that important. Are we the us? I'm just done with everyone being so discouraging over something that is not even their choice.
AITA for not wanting to share this sensitive time with a friend. I have 27 have struggled with fertility for almost 6 years. Years of doctor appointments, medications, losses, complications, all of it. This pregnancy is something I've waited for forever, and it's been extremely emotional and sensitive for me. When I finally got pregnant, I told only a few people. One of them was a friend. Right after I told her, she decided to take out her birth control and got pregnant a few months later. She's also had a pattern of doing things right after I do them, so it felt weird. I know she has the right to do whatever she wants with her body, but the timing felt like it was because of me, and I can't shake that feeling. In my world, this time is about me and I don't want to share it, and I feel like she's been actively trying to force me to share it. Since then, she's been wanting to talk about symptoms, pregnancy stuff, share experiences, etc. And I honestly don't want that. I finally have this moment, and I want it to be mine. I don't want to play prego buddies. I've also had complications, so emotionally I'm trying to protect myself. Am I doing too much?
AITA hospital room light mistake. Hi y'all, I'm in the hospital for the first time and this is the second night I've been here and I haven't slept at all since. Anyways, I made a bad mistake that I felt really shitty about. I'm in a hospital room with 2 beds and 3 lights. I'm at the far end. There's a light above each of the 2 beds and the third light is by the entrance of the room. Between somewhere around like 9 and 12:30 PM all the lights were off, which was nice. Around 1 AM I requested a nurse for pain medicine so I can sleep. The third light came on and stayed on, which I thought it was from me, and they forgot to turn the light off. Around 2:45 AM a nurse came in and I asked if the light could be turned off, but little did I know they were helping out. The dude next to me had headphones on, and his bed light was still off. Anyways, the dude next to me got super livid saying I was selfish, telling me to go F myself, shitty person. He went on like this for several minutes. I feel horrible cause he's right, that did seem selfish as, and I profusely apologized, but he still kept going. So I'm the asshole, but how bad? Sorry if the writing is bad, I haven't slept in like 2 days. There's curtains between our beds. Also want to mention he said I ought to come over there and stick you. An hour later, and he's still rambling to himself about how disrespectful it is and how in prison it'd be different. I'm not sleeping tonight. I'm low-key worried.
AITA if I told my friends not to go on a trip with our other friend because he was rude to me. Basically, as a long story short, me F1 and my friend M1 got in an argument a bit ago. I think there was wrong things said done on both sides, but the friend M1 continued to say more rude things to me. Far worse than what I said, to the point that I stopped replying to him, talking to him for a bit. Before this happened, we had all talked about going on a trip together. After this happened, I told our 2 other friends F2 M2, that I don't want to go on the trip anymore with M1 and wanted to plan it with just us 3. I thought they F2 M2 would take my side because they acknowledged M1 was being rude in what he said and shouldn't have said that. but they said they still want to plan the trip with him and want to talk to him still. They said they will still go on the trip with him even if I don't go. I told them I don't feel supported by them because they were still trying to plan the trip with M1 when I thought they would take my side. AITA for saying that?
AITA for not helping with the bathroom reno and fixing dinner when I have a fractured shoulder. We started a DIY bathroom reno a week ago and day 2, my leg fell through the hole where the drain was removed and I fractured my upper humerus in the right shoulder, also right-handed, along with a gnarly leg bruise. My partner is doing all of the reno work and I plan to be the helper, basically get things, hand things, help wherever needed. I'm not able to do much now with the shoulder injury in regard to the actual reno. I'm managing with daily tasks like getting dressed, fixing my hair, keeping the house picked up, making crock-pot meals that are easy one-handed or warming leftovers, and taking care of the animals so I don't ask him for help since I know he is overwhelmed with the reno. Please believe, everything is a pain in the ass one-handed. This morning I was told that they don't feel appreciated for all the work they are doing BC. I wasn't really wanting to run around to stores with them this morning, and I didn't want to make their dinner. Last night we had party pizzas. I was contemplating trying to get to the grocery store but hesitant BC. I wasn't sure if it would be a huge pain in the ass. I feel like I have been managing silently since the injury happened but still end up being the asshole BC. I'm also not helping or just being around while they are doing the reno. Am I the asshole?
AITA I30F texted my partner 34M and his best friend that I won't be spending the New Year's with them. I've been with my partner for more than 5 years and we are both corporate workers. We live together in the same house. He owns, I pay rent, food, and do all the chores. Not ideal, but nothing gets done if I don't do something. We also have a dog that we got early into the relationship. I do all the care for the dog, including grooming, walking, socializing, and etc. My partner's best friend and I share a birthday a few days after New Year's. Every time he's in town in our city we celebrate together, whether it's going to a restaurant together or do something. I've been asking my partner to go to Hawaii for the past 4 years. I know it's stupid, but I just want to go to Hawaii. We're able to afford it. But my partner had a lot of work for the past few years that we couldn't take a week off or anything to go travel. So we stuck to weekend trips to cities close to us, or if my partner had a work trip, he worked on a startup that never set off with his friends. I'd come for a few days and explore the city by myself. We finally have about a week from Christmas to New Year's to go on a trip and I advocated for Hawaii. My partner and his friends made a separate decision that we'd be spending New Year's and my B-Day in New York City because that's where my partner's best friend lives. I know it wasn't the best plan of attack, but this morning I woke up pretty pissed about literally doing everything my partner does in regards to going on trips, so I texted our group chat with said friends saying that for planning purposes that I'm not going to be in the city but my partner will be. Now my partner won't come out of his room nor talk to me. I'm just pretty fed up and upset and don't want to travel to a place I go frequently for my own work, and a place we were both literally just at a month ago.
AITA for telling my bill I'll be on a seafood diet. For context, I'm super pregnant right now. My husband 29M and I 26F have another child who is almost 3. I didn't have a positive breastfeeding experience with her. I'm determined to have a better experience with our second. His brother, my bill 30M, is a chronic yo-yo eater. I personally think it's annoying because he tries to get everyone else around him to try it. I've always politely said no thanks. My husband has told him several times to stop bringing it up to me, but he's sneaky, and will ask when my husband is not in the room. I've just brushed it off as he's insecure. There was one day when he and their sister 34F were at our house and my husband had to use the bathroom. Bill asked me if I had done any research on how to lose weight when I have the baby. I had to take a deep breath, so I didn't snap. I told him I had no plans for that. Then he proceeds to tell me about some kind of diet that requires cutting out all kinds of foods and apparently the baby weight will just fall right off. I told him no thank you. I'm not worried about my weight and neither are my doctors or my husband. Then he pressed even further, all while my husband is taking a shit. He asked me if I had any diets in mind and he would like to research them for me to see if they were good for me. I laughed and said that I would be on the seafood diet. I'll see food and I'll eat it. because with breastfeeding, you burn lots of calories, so I'll probably be hungry all the time. He was visibly uncomfortable, but my Sil was giggling. After my poor husband came out, Bill suddenly decided he needed to take his dog for a walk. My husband asked if anything happened, and I told him. He thought it was funny too, and he was going to talk to his brother. I know I'm not the asshole, but part of me feels bad for the guy. If he's this insecure, could I be the asshole by being as sarcastic as I was?
Massive crush on an older professor. I am 21F in college. There is this professor in my college. Must be 47, 48. He is from another department, but he taught me in my first and second semester, since those were common subjects. I didn't think anything much while he was my professor. He taught well. I liked his subject, that's all. We used to take the same bus home from college. I used to get down before he did back during my first year. But now, since last year, I developed this massive crush on him. I have stalked his Instagram, Facebook, college website to get any info I could. I feel stupid and disgusted to even say this, but I imagine myself with him. What if I had been in his department, etc.? I found out while talking to one friend from that department that the professor actually lives near my area. I take the same bus as him every morning. He most certainly doesn't even remember that he taught me 3 years back. I know it's nonsense, and I should probably stop thinking about him. I don't know what I'm thinking I'll get by doing this, but I am strangely happy if I am able to see him in the morning, take the same bus. Between Lex, I sometimes go to his floor to fill my bottle, etc. He is at least 47, married, with kids. His son was in my college as well, 2 years older than me. I don't know why I suddenly have such strong feelings. He has graying hair, he is very calm, disciplined, reserved. I'm not attracted to him look-wise. He isn't even handsome or anything. We don't talk. At most, we smile at each other at bus stops since we see each other every day. P.S. I'm not going to act on it. I just needed to say all this somewhere.
AITA for screaming at my teammate for his entitled, self-serving attitude. So I was in a team project with 6 members including myself. We all settled on a topic and started discussing model ideas. We all wanted to make a creative and affordable project model, except for one member. His idea was very complicated and expensive. We told him we aren't willing to drop too much money for this project as it's not feasible. Despite the discussion, he started making a separate model on his own. A week into it, he texts all of us, asking us to go to his dorm and complete the model. We did go, made a part of the model. He ended up throwing it as it was flimsy. He then made a very weird looking model, and my team and I told him we will make a new model on our own. He continued to make his weird model, took his roommate's help, spent a lot of money, and completed the model. We also made our own model. On the day of presentation, he was uncooperative with our team. Our team ended up winning second place with medals and a cash prize. At the time of the announcement of winners, few members including me left as it was lunchtime. He took all our medals and cash prize and left. He distributed our medals and cash prize to his roommates. When we demanded he give it back to us, he claimed that we didn't help him with his model and he wanted to repay his roommates. After a lot of online arguing, we convinced him to return our medals. He went back on his word, and created a scene in class. I screamed at him very loudly. He then ultimately gave our medals back to us, and we had to pay him back for his expensive model despite having agreed to the fact that we don't want to spend too much on the model. I'm debating if I should ask him to repay me. For context, this dude is 12 years older than all of us. He's in his 30s and we are not even 20 yet.
I have a crush on someone who isn't my girlfriend and it is killing me. My girlfriend and I have been together for roughly 4 years, and things have been great between us. We've had maybe 2 or 3 issues, and they were mostly just because of outside factors like both of us being in college and the long distance nature of our relationship because of that. Besides those small issues, our relationship has been great, and I cannot really imagine myself being with anyone else besides her. However, roughly 10 or so months ago, I developed a crush on someone in my friend group. I thought it was no big deal, and it would go away on its own, and it eventually did after she got a boyfriend. No big deal, right? Well, after summer break, we all got caught, and she mentioned that she and her boyfriend had broken up. Within that same week, the crush came back, way stronger than before. I figured the crush would go away again, and it would be no big deal. Cut to now, and the crush is still there, and it shows very little sign of going away. I never intend to act on the crush, nor would I ever cheat on my girlfriend. I just have no one to tell this to, as all of my friends are either friends with my girlfriend or friends with the other girl, and the guilt is just eating at me. I'm not asking for advice, I just really needed a place to vent this out to, and I'm hoping that this will help with dealing with this.
AITA for not wanting people to pee in my shower. I 21F hosted a house party to celebrate the end of semester for a bunch of people I go to college with. The turnout was actually a lot higher than I expected. There were probably over 100 people there, and only a handful, maybe 30-40, were my friends. Others were strangers or mutual friends from my college. I didn't really mind too much since my house and backyard are pretty big. It's just that we only have 2 bathrooms. At some point in time I went inside because I needed to go to the toilet. The first bathroom was locked with a pretty long lineup outside, so I went to the second one. I was surprised that the door was open and peeked my head inside to find that there were a bunch of people in there. I at first thought they may have been doing some drugs or something, so went in to see what was happening. There was one guy sitting on the toilet pooping, and then probably 3-4 guys standing around the shower. My shower is a combined bathtub shower, and they were essentially using it as a urinal, all peeing into it at once. One of them finished up, and another guy took his place peeing into the tub. I was quite peeved, and asked the guy that had finished up why he thought that was an okay thing to do. He said it's pretty common and he has done it heaps of times before to save time. He also said it's pretty easy to clean and makes things easier. He said some of the other guys had been pissing outside, but that, since my yard didn't have any natural spaces, i.e., grass, bushes that were out of view, the only option was to pee on the pavement around the side of the house or the wall of the house. I think that it's just gross and disrespectful to me. I feel like they're just treating me with no respect by doing this. Is this normal? AITA for not wanting them to pee in my shower, and are they TA for doing so without asking permission?
AITA for refusing to participate in a family ritual that I'm not comfortable with. So my extended family recently hosted a ceremony. I thought it would include mostly prayer and offerings, as I did for my other family ceremonies. However, the ceremony required me to experience 2 of the most discomforting things in my life. First, the ceremonial animal slaughter, and second, having to drink a sip of gomutra cow urine for the blessing. I am not judging those who believe in the customs. I can see that they hold great significance to some families. However, for me personally, I didn't know how to interact with this kind of experience when I saw it. At that point, I felt my heart racing and the pressure in my chest increase. I talked to my parents about how uncomfortable I felt, but it was quite obvious that they were disappointed with me and didn't speak to me for most of the day after that. I was encouraged by a number of my relatives to participate in the ceremonial tradition to show respect to my ancestors and avoid bad karma, but I ultimately decided to abstain from it. I didn't argue or defend my position. Instead, I removed myself from the ritual area and remained away from the group for the remainder of the ceremony. To this day, I feel like I have offended those family members and committed an unforgivable crime. AITA for drawing a boundary during a ritual I genuinely couldn't handle.
XGF from a year reached out. I 32 am very briefly dated a 28-year-old woman a year ago. Our first encounter was electric, with lots of chemistry, I thought. I told her my plans about wanting to be serious, get married and have children. I already have 1 daughter and she had 2 children from her previous marriage. After a short time of us dating, she cut it off due to claiming that she didn't want any more kids. And I wanted more. Fast forward to tonight, a year later. She calls me out of the blue, saying she's been thinking about me for the last 6 months and would like for us to try again. Here's where it gets interesting. She's had another child with a man from, apparently, a one-night stand. She explained to me the details of the situation and that it was a complete surprise and unintentional, and that the father has chosen not to be in her child's life. Furthermore, she can't stop thinking about me and how she's now close to 30 and ready to settle down, and that she's tired of men saying they're serious when they aren't. So in summary, she's now got 3 children by 2 men, done with dating and ready to settle down.
AITA F49 telling a stranger M50 to stop trying to bully me in the passenger next to me. Sitting in BC on a flight to YYZE from YVR. Overhead bin space is allocated above our seats and a little tricky. Had to finesse my carry-on flat, not sideways, lower height bins, and my seatmate looked up from her laptop and laughed with me as I took a moment to figure it out and said she had the same issue. It was sorted. I closed the full bin and settled in for our flight. A man and a woman come rushing into the flight just after last call, and he's huffing and complaining under his breath. He has 2 carry-ons and a huge backpack and starts opening bins left and right and tries to stuff his bags wherever he can. Then he opens ours and yells at us and says we did it wrong and that obviously we don't know a thing about loading bags, and pulls at our luggage, puts his in and tries to stuff our bags sideways and starts swearing as obviously the bins won't close. I get up and tell him not to remove our bags and put them back, and he glares at me and again tries to tell me I'm wrong. and keeps banging the bin on my luggage. Finally I look at him and tell him to stop trying to mansplain how to do something we had figured out before he came on board and decided to play a game of bag Tetris. I was firm and annoyed. And then the flight attendant came and told this man to leave our bags and sit down. Then she took his bags away, gate check, put ours back. And that was that. His wife looked embarrassed, apologized and said her husband had a bad day. And after I sat down I felt bad about raising my voice. AITA
for skipping the handmade birthday card for my cousin this year. I'm 24 years old, female, of those crafty types who's been making personalized birthday cards for my family since I was 12 years old. It's not fancy stuff, just watercolors, inside jokes, little doodles that mean something to him. It's my way of saying I care. My cousin Jake, 25 years, male, and I were super tight growing up, sleepovers. The whole deal was that his cards always got extra effort. Last year's had this tiny sketch of us as kids stealing cookies from grandma's jar, with a note about how he is a terrible liar. But here's the thing, every single one I've given him over the years has ended up lost. I'd visit and spot one shoved under his couch, ink smudged from who knows what, fished out of his recycling bin like it was waste mail. The first few times, I laughed it off, guys are messy. But after the 5th or 6th, it started stinging. I pour maybe 2-3 hours into each, picking paper that won't bleed, testing colors till it looks right. This year for his birthday, I just couldn't, so grabbed a basic card from the store, written, "Happy birthday, don't eat all the cake inside," and called it a day. No art or memories. He opened it at the family dinner, looked at it for a second, then forced a smile and said, "Oh, cool, thanks," smiley face emoji. Later, he called me aside and was like, "What happened to the real card? This feels off, it's our thing." I told him straight up it didn't feel worth it anymore. He got defensive, said life's busy and he didn't mean to. My auntie's mom texted me that I'm being petty and ungrateful for our family traditions, and a couple other relatives are chiming in that I should have just sucked it up because it's the thought that counts. Jake apologized, but then added that my cards aren't that big a deal anyway. It has me second guessing maybe I overreacted. Am I the arsehole for bailing on a tradition like that?